The UN broadcast switches to a press conference where the Secretary-General attempts to project calm despite the tremor in her voice. "We are exploring all diplomatic channels," she assures a room of terrified reporters. Elena mutes the feed with a dismissive gesture. "They've never accepted surrender terms from any civilization," Elena mutters, adjusting microscopic components within the Prometheus core. 17 worlds. All gone. General Wee moves closer, his weathered face illuminated by the device's pulsing blue light. "The evacuation ships can only take 2 million people at most. 7 billion will remain." Elena looks up sharply. "I'm well aware of the math, General." The laboratory door hisses open as Dr. Matsuda enters, his lab coat stained with coffee and his eyes wild from 3 days without sleep. "The quantum stabilizers are calibrated," he announces, handing Elena a crystalline chip no larger than a fingernail. "But the simulation models still show a 22% chance of cascade failure." "That's an improvement from yesterday's 37%, Elena replies, carefully integrating the chip into the device. The blue glow intensifies, casting eerie shadows across the concrete walls of the bunker. Through a reinforced window, they can see technicians preparing the deployment platform, a massive array of superconducting coils designed to amplify the Prometheus effect beyond Earth's atmosphere. The fate of humanity rests on technology that, until 3 years ago, existed only in theoretical physics papers. The Vraxians are broadcasting again, a communications officer announces, her voice tight with fear. On screen, the Vraxian ambassador appears, a towering figure with iridescent exoskeleton and compound eyes that reflect no emotion. "We have detected unusual energy signatures from your northern hemisphere," the alien's translator rasps. "Any defensive action will result in immediate punitive measures." Elena exchanges glances with General Wei. Somehow, they know. "How much time do we need?" Wei asks quietly. 12 hours minimum, Elena responds. "The quantum matrix needs to achieve perfect synchronization before deployment." Wei nods grimly and activates his secure comlink. Authorization Olympus. "Deploy all orbital defense platforms. Prepare ground-based interceptors. We need to buy time." "Those defenses won't last an hour against their fleet," Matsuda protests. "They don't need to win," Elena says, her fingers flying over holographic controls. "They just need to distract." As the team works with renewed urgency, satellite feeds show Earth's meager defense forces moving into position. Brave men and women preparing to sacrifice themselves for precious minutes of time. Elena pauses only once during the frantic preparations, when the laboratory briefly shakes from distant impacts. Outside the facility, aurora-like lights flash across the sky, the visual echo of orbital battles already underway. "My daughter asked me this morning if we're all going to die," Elena says suddenly, her voice barely audible. "I told her not to worry." General Wei places a hand on her shoulder. "Was that a lie, Doctor?" Elena's eyes harden as she makes a final adjustment to the device. The blue light stabilizes, humming with potential energy. "That," she says, "is entirely up to us now." "Think of it as an immune response," Elena says, manipulating the hologram to show how the Prometheus field interacts with quantum systems. "Rather than attacking the Vraxians directly, we're targeting the technology they depend on." The Joint Chiefs exchange skeptical glances as Elena continues her explanation. Admiral Chen leans forward, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focuses. "Dr. Costa, with respect, we've thrown everything we have at their scout ships. Tactical nukes, railguns, even experimental plasma weapons. Nothing penetrates their shields. Why should this disruption work when conventional physics has failed?" Elena smiles thinly. "Because it's not attacking their shields. It's unmaking the quantum foundation that allows the shields to exist." She gestures to a sealed container where a captured Vraxian weapon floats in a stasis field. Their technology, like most advanced species, relies on quantum entanglement for instant communication between components. Traditional weapons try to overwhelm their defenses with raw energy. Prometheus simply untangles the threads of their systems. General Wei, who has witnessed the prototype in action, nods supportively. It's like fighting someone wearing powered armor. You could try punching through the armor. Or you could cut the power supply. Elena finishes. Much more efficient. A junior officer clears his throat nervously. But if it works by disrupting quantum systems, won't it affect our technology too? Elena acknowledges the question with a respectful nod. Excellent point. The current version affects all quantum technology indiscriminately within its radius. That's why our deployment strategy targets their fleet while our ground forces rely on pre-quantum tech. She pauses. It's ironically fortunate that Earth's quantum technology is decades behind the galactic standard. Meanwhile, aboard the Vraxian command vessel, Ambassador Torqueval reviews data transmitted by the scout ships before their mysterious communications failure. Holographic displays show energy readings unlike anything in the Vraxian database. The humans have developed something new, he tells Commander Zexkalov, whose chitinous armor bears the marks of 17 successful conquests, something that doesn't conform to known weapons classifications. The commander makes a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. They are primitives. Their satellite network can be disabled with minimal effort. Their orbital defenses are negligible. Primitives who somehow disabled 4 scout ships without conventional weapon signatures. Torqueval counters. That suggests unconventional thinking. Always dangerous. Commander Zexkalov's mandibles click in what passes for amusement among Vraxians. Your caution is noted, Ambassador. But remember what happened on Novenar Prime when they tried to trick us with their underwater defenses, or the Keth Consortium's attempt at biological warfare. Both species are extinct now, Torqueval acknowledges, but neither showed these energy signatures. The commander rises to his full height, towering over the ambassador. Prepare the infiltration units. I want this human superweapon located and neutralized before the main assault. If it proves interesting, we will add it to our technological archive before we sterilize their world. As the sleek infiltration ships detach from the fleet, their adaptive camouflage rendering them nearly invisible against Earth's night sky, Elena works on final calibrations, unaware that the Vraxians have already identified her facility as their primary target. Maya crouches behind an overturned laboratory bench, her combat armor scorched from near misses. 3 of her squad lie dead in the corridor outside. Through the smoke, she can make out Elena's form, pinned and bleeding but still conscious, her fingers stretching toward the prototype. Jenkins, covering fire. Rodriguez, with me. Maya orders, her voice steady despite the chaos. As her remaining soldiers lay down suppression fire, she sprints across the lab, sliding the last few meters to Elena's side. Can you move it? Maya asks, eyeing the Prometheus device. Elena shakes her head, face pale from blood loss. Not without. Destabilizing the core matrix. Need to. Activate it here. The lab doors glow brighter, metal beginning to drip like wax as Vraxian cutting beams work through the reinforced barriers. Maya makes a quick decision, dragging Elena closer to the device, despite the scientist's cry of pain. What do you need me to do? Maya asks, positioning herself between Elena and the doors. Through gritted teeth, Elena explains, 3-part activation sequence. Biometric, then code, then manual calibration. As Elena works despite her injuries, Maya gets her first clear look at their attackers through the melting door. 8-foot-tall figures with segmented exoskeletons and multiple upper limbs, each carrying weapons that seem to phase between solid matter and energy states. They're collecting samples, Jenkins shouts from his position. Look. Maya sees it. The Vraxians aren't just destroying. They're methodically scanning equipment, extracting components, downloading data. This isn't just an attack. It's intelligence gathering. 30 seconds, Elena gasps, blood pooling beneath her crushed leg as she inputs complex sequences into the device. The doors finally give way, and 2 Vraxian scouts enter, their movements unnervingly fluid despite their rigid exoskeletons. Maya empties her magazine into the first, the round sparking harmlessly against its shield, until the seventh bullet, which unexpectedly penetrates, finding a joint in the armor. Black ichor sprays as the alien screeches, a sound like metal tearing. The second Vraxian raises its weapon, a spiraling construct that seems to bend light around it. Maya braces for death when Alina slams her palm onto the final activation sequence. The Prometheus pulse expands outward like an invisible tsunami. The Vraxian weapon flickers, then dissolves into component parts that clatter uselessly to the floor. Its armor, previously illuminated with energy patterns, goes dark. The alien stumbles, suddenly clumsy without its powered exoskeleton enhancing its movements. Maya doesn't hesitate. She draws her combat knife and lunges forward, finding the now exposed junction between head and thorax. More Vraxians pour through the breach, but they too stagger as the pulse reaches them. Their technological advantage is neutralized in an instant. It worked, Alina whispers, watching as the remaining humans engage the confused aliens with conventional weapons. Without their shields and augmented strength, the Vraxians find themselves in an unexpectedly even fight. As Maya returns to Alina's side, the scientist grabs her arm with surprising strength. They're adapting already, she warns, pointing to a Vraxian engineer frantically reconfiguring components. This version, too limited. Need the full prototype. Through her comm unit, Maya hears reports of Vraxian ships retreating from Earth orbit, but not before several transport vessels land at key locations worldwide. We've bloodied their nose, Maya tells Alina as medics finally reach them. But they'll be back. And they'll know what to expect, Alina adds grimly, watching as soldiers collect fallen Vraxian technology for analysis. The real battle hasn't even started. Alina maneuvers her wheelchair along the curved observation deck, the Antarctic landscape stretching endlessly white beyond the reinforced glass. Below, in the cavernous main laboratory, dozens of scientists from 4 species work in carefully organized chaos. The Prometheus device now sits at the center of a much larger apparatus, fed by power conduits that disappear into the ice below. Your species adapts quickly, observes the archivist, its translucent form shifting like smoke within its containment field as it glides alongside her. Most take generations to process first contact. You've formed a multi-species research team in months. Desperation is a powerful motivator, Alina replies. The Vraxians will return with countermeasures. The facility's alert system chimes softly as a security escort brings another visitor to the observation deck, Nensho of the Keth Consortium, his insectoid form draped in elaborately patterned fabrics that mark his status as a prime negotiator. The Vraxians have withdrawn to the heliopause, Nensho announces without preamble, mandibles clicking in agitation. They're reconfiguring their fleet with isolated quantum systems, technology traded from the Jur Dominion. Alina's expression darkens. The Jur are supposedly neutral. Why would they help the Vraxians? The archivists form pulses with what might be the equivalent of a sigh. The established species maintain order through selective alliances. The Jur fear your technology more than they fear the Vraxians. Because we could actually threaten their dominance, Alina concludes. Her tablet chimes with a priority message, satellite imagery showing massive Vraxian ships arranging themselves in a formation just beyond Neptune's orbit. The countdown has begun. Meanwhile, in the diplomatic wing, Dr. Matsuda guides representatives from Earth's governments through the implications of their sudden galactic relevance. The Galactic Council has existed for approximately 20,000 years. He explains, gesturing to a holographic representation of known space. Membership is tiered based on technological development, military capability, and age of civilization. And where would humanity rank? Asks the Chinese ambassador. Technically, we wouldn't qualify for full membership for another century, Matsuda admits, but our development of quantum disruption technology has complicated matters. The Novenary ambassador's translation unit bubbles with liquid sounds before producing speech. Your species has achieved what mine could not. You've made the established species frightened. They offer membership not as recognition, but as containment. Containment. The American representative leans forward. They want to control our technology. Precisely, confirms the Novenary. Council membership includes technology sharing agreements and development oversight. They would gain access to Prometheus, while restricting its evolution. Later that evening, Alina meets with the United Earth Security Council via secure holographic link, her face illuminated by the eerie blue light of the transmission. The Galactic Council has offered us protection from the Vraxians in exchange for full disclosure of the Prometheus technology, she reports. Meanwhile, 17 formerly subjugated species have approached us with offers of alliance independent of Council oversight. And your recommendation, Doctor? Asks the Secretary General. Alina's gaze is steady. We maintain independence for now. The Council fears us precisely because we're outside their control. That fear is currently our greatest leverage. As the meeting concludes, Alina wheels herself back to the observation deck, where the archivist still hovers, contemplating the stars. Your species stands at a crossroads, it says softly. Few arrive here so early in their development. What happens to those who do? Alina asks. The archivist's form ripples. They either transform the galaxy or are destroyed by forces they've disrupted before they fully understand them. The Antarctic facility shudders as another Vraxian strike impacts the ice shield above. Alina steadies herself against a workstation, exchanging worried glances with Kvex, whose compound eyes reflect multiple holographic displays simultaneously. Their adaptation rate exceeds our models, the Keth engineer notes, mandibles clicking anxiously. The null field generators are bypassing our first-generation disruption effects. Alina studies the tactical display showing Vraxian worldbreaker units advancing on 7 continents simultaneously. Sydney is already under occupation. Beijing fights street by street. The European defense perimeter holds. Barely. We need to think differently, Alina insists, brushing aside simulations showing diminishing effectiveness. They're expecting us to simply increase power, to make a bigger hammer. The Novenary scientist, Shalara, moves her exosuit closer, water sloshing inside its transparent shell. Traditional warfare follows predictable escalation patterns, she agrees, tendrils gesturing expressively. My people try to outbuild the Vraxians. We constructed larger weapons, deeper bunkers. Her voice modulator momentarily distorts with emotion. We have no homeworld now. Alina wheels herself to the center of the lab where the enhanced Prometheus prototype pulses with potential. Kvex, you said their null field generators create a kind of quantum shell around their systems, correct? The Keth clicks affirmatively, a barrier that prevents external disruption from reaching the entangled pairs. Then we don't attack from outside, Alina says slowly, an idea forming. We insert the disruption pattern into their communication network, let them carry it past their own defenses. The archivist, who has been observing silently, drifts forward. Elegant, like a biological virus bypassing cellular defenses by wearing the correct protein coat. As they reconfigure the device, philosophical debates break out among the multinational team. Dr. Chandrasekaran from India raises his voice over the ambient hum of equipment. If we succeed, this technology will change the balance of power throughout the galaxy. We need ethical constraints, parameters that prevent its misuse. Weapons don't have ethics, counters Colonel Petrov, representing Earth's Unified Defense Command. Only users do. Then we build the ethics into the deployment system. Alina interjects, not looking up from her calibrations. Selective targeting. Temporary effects instead of permanent ones. Fail-safes that prevent indiscriminate use. The Novenary's tendrils wave in agitation. My civilization created beautiful cities that stretched across ocean floors, art that captured the essence of water currents in crystalline structures that took centuries to grow. All gone now because we lacked an effective deterrent. And yet Elena responds gently, "You're helping create a weapon while insisting on limitations. That's precisely why I trust your perspective." Their debate is cut short by emergency klaxons. On the tactical display, a Vraxian dropship squadron has breached Antarctic airspace, heading directly for the facility. "They found us," Keyvex announces unnecessarily, compound eyes blinking rapidly. Elena makes a split-second decision. Upload the current configuration to the secure network. Prepare for evacuation protocol. As the team scrambles to preserve their work, Elena exchanges meaningful glances with Captain Santos, who has just entered with her tactical team. "How much time do you need?" Maya asks, checking her weapon. 20 minutes to complete the essential modifications," Elena responds. Maya nods grimly. "You'll have it." As Maya leads her team toward the surface access points, Elena returns to the prototype, fingers flying across the interface with renewed urgency. The distant sound of explosions filters through the facility's thick walls. The first skirmish between human defenders and Vraxian worldbreakers on Antarctic soil. "This is our only chance," Elena murmurs, more to herself than her colleagues. "We won't get another." Maya's team moves through the shadows of the Vraxian flagship's massive engine compartment, their adaptive camouflage barely concealing them from the ship's organic sensor arrays. 2 of her 8-person infiltration team are already dead. Ramirez vaporized at the insertion point. Chen crushed when a security bulkhead unexpectedly closed. "Central communication node is 1 level up," whispers Lieutenant Okafor, consulting the holographic map generated from intelligence gathered by the Keth. Heavy security presence indicated. Maya acknowledges with a hand signal, then taps the specialized device secured to her combat harness. A miniaturized version of the Prometheus prototype, modified to upload its disruption pattern into the Vraxian network rather than generate a field effect. The device's weight feels disproportionate to its size, as if the hopes of an entire planet have physical mass. Through her tactical visor, Maya watches Vraxian crew members moving with practiced efficiency. Unlike the ground forces, these technicians have 4 upper limbs instead of 2, manipulating controls with precise, almost beautiful coordination. "Remember," Maya subvocalizes to her team, "their internal security systems operate on isolated circuits. Our personal scramblers will only confuse them temporarily." They wait for a scheduled system diagnostic, a 3-second window when the security grid will reset, then move swiftly upward through maintenance shafts designed for repair drones. The alien architecture is both functional and unsettling, with surfaces that seem to pulse slightly, as if the ship itself is breathing. Meanwhile, Elena monitors their progress from the Antarctic facility, now relocated 2 kilometers deeper after the Vraxian assault damaged the original installation. Global tactical feeds show Earth's defenses faltering worldwide. Orbital platforms fall silent one by one. Ground-based weapons achieve occasional victories but cannot stem the overwhelming technological superiority of the Vraxian worldbreakers. Maya's team has reached the outer perimeter of the communication node, announces a communications officer, voice tight with tension. Elena nods, unable to look away from the life-sign monitors attached to each member of the insertion team. 6 heartbeats, each a flickering point of light in what might be humanity's final hour. The upload needs to be directly into their primary buffer, Elena reminds the tactical officer. Anywhere else and their security protocols will isolate it before it can spread. Aboard the flagship, Maya signals for breaching charges to be placed on the access hatch leading to the communication center. When detonated, they don't explode so much as unmake the molecular bonds of the hatch material, causing it to sublimate instantly. Maya's team surges through the opening, their conventional weapons augmented with quantum disruption shells, barely enough to penetrate the personal shields of the Vraxian command crew. The aliens respond with horrifying efficiency, their movements blur fast as augmented reflexes engage. Lieutenant Okafor falls first, his torso separated from his legs by an energy blade. Sergeant Wilson manages to take down 2 Vraxians before a third phases through his defensive position, literally walking through solid matter to emerge behind him and snap his neck. Maya fights her way to the central console, a crystalline structure pulsing with data streams visible as colored light patterns. A Vraxian commander, distinguished by elaborate armor markings, intercepts her. The alien is inhumanly fast, its 4 arms wielding weapons that shift between states of matter. Maya activates her personal disruptor, a one-shot device that creates a momentary field, just enough to falter the commander's shield. In that fractional second of vulnerability, she drives a ceramic blade through what intelligence suggests is a critical nerve cluster. The Vraxian falls, its death screech triggering alarms throughout the command center. With her remaining team members providing covering fire, Maya reaches the console and connects the Prometheus upload device. Her fingers, slick with blood, some hers, some alien, nearly slip on the activation sequence. Package is connecting. She reports through labored breathing. Uploading now. 80%. 90%. A searing pain erupts in her abdomen as a Vraxian energy weapon finds its mark, burning through her armor like paper. Maya collapses against the console, but maintains her grip on the device. Upload complete. She gasps into her comm, the taste of copper filling her mouth. Her vision tunnels, darkening at the edges. Tell Elena, it's done. In Antarctica, Elena watches Maya's life signs flatline. With trembling fingers, she initiates the activation sequence that will trigger the uploaded disruption pattern. Around her, the combined human-alien team falls silent, aware they are witnessing a moment that will determine the fate of not just Earth, but the Galactic Order itself. Elena stands before the Galactic Council's emissaries in Geneva's repurposed United Nations chamber, leaning slightly on her cane, her crushed leg now partially rebuilt with experimental regenerative technology. 3 months of negotiations have led to this moment, with representatives from over 200 Earth nations behind her and delegates from 27 alien species observing from the galleries. The terms you propose are unacceptable, Elena states flatly, interrupting the jure delegate's elaborate diplomatic language. Earth will not surrender control of the Prometheus technology to Council oversight. Murmurs ripple through the chamber as the 7-member ancient delegation exchanges glances. The jure representative, a towering being with crystalline growths protruding from its shoulders, leans forward. Dr. Costa, perhaps you misunderstand the honor being offered. Council membership for a species at your development stage is unprecedented. The technical assistance alone would advance Earth centuries beyond your current capabilities. In exchange for placing our most effective defense under external control, Elena counters. A curious coincidence. The archivist of Xol, now formally representing its species in the negotiations, shifts its translucent form in what Elena has come to recognize as amusement. The talks adjourn without resolution, and Elena retreats to her temporary laboratory in the sublevels of the Geneva complex. Here, surrounded by equipment salvaged from Antarctica, she continues her research into the unexpected side effect of the Prometheus deployment, the strange energy patterns now visible throughout local space. It's like discovering a new fundamental force, she explains to Dr. Matsuda as they review 3-dimensional models of the energy field. These patterns permeate everything, but were somehow masked from our instruments until the quantum disruption reset something at a subatomic level. Matsuda adjusts his glasses, studying the complex waveforms. And you believe certain species have been manipulating this field? Not believe. No. Elena corrects him, pulling up comparative readings. Look at the field density around Earth versus established Council worlds. The difference is too precise to be natural. Their research is interrupted by a priority alert. Unusual energy signatures detected near Jupiter's orbit. The holographic display shows 5 Council vessels in formation, generating a focused beam directed toward Earth. They're attempting to re-establish the suppression field. Elena realizes they can't risk humanity developing unrestricted access to this energy. Within hours, Evidence mounts that the ancient delegation has been systematically manipulating technological development across the galaxy. Subtle quantum-level adjustments that make certain technologies less efficient or completely non-functional in the hands of younger species. Armed with this evidence, Alina requests an emergency session with the full Galactic Council, not just its Earth delegation. Using modified Prometheus technology, she demonstrates how the suppression field has been maintained for millennia, a controlled scientific retardation of specific civilizations. For generations, you've presented yourselves as mentors and guides. Alina addresses the ancient delegation directly, her voice carrying through the stunned chamber. You've established technological benchmarks that determine a species' status, while secretly ensuring those benchmarks remain just out of reach. The council erupts in chaotic debate as younger species realize the implications. The Keth representative demands verification. The Novenary delegation calls for immediate sanctions against the ancients. Even the Vraxian observer, their species now represented by a diplomatic mission following their military defeat, watches with compound eyes unblinking. When the Jur delegate attempts to dismiss the evidence as human misinterpretation, Alina activates a small device on her wrist. Throughout the chamber, technology flickers momentarily as a controlled Prometheus pulse disrupts quantum systems. That was a demonstration, not an attack. Alina clarifies as systems restore. The next deployment could be selective, targeting only technologies belonging to species who have engaged in suppression. The threat hangs in the air, unspoken but unmistakable. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the ancient delegation faces a power they cannot simply dismiss or technologically outmaneuver. As the session dissolves into urgent private consultations, the archivist approaches Alina. You have irreversibly altered the galactic balance, it observes, its form swirling with complex patterns. Some would call that destabilizing. Others might call it correction. Alina replies quietly, or perhaps simply, justice. Alina stands on the observation platform of the newly constructed Alliance headquarters, watching shuttles from 24 worlds dock at the orbital ring above. 5 years have transformed Earth from an isolated planet to the center of galactic reformation. Behind her, representatives from the Progressive Alliance, now 32 species strong, prepare for the historic ratification of the Quantum Transparency Accords. Did you ever imagine this outcome when you first activated Prometheus? Asks Admiral Chen, now Earth's military representative to the Alliance. His cybernetic eye has been upgraded with technology once deliberately kept from humanity. Honestly, I was just hoping we'd survive the week, Alina admits with a tired smile. She gestures toward the sprawling complex below, where multi-species research teams collaborate openly. This was beyond imagination. The Prometheus device itself, now secured in a transparent chamber at the heart of the headquarters, has become more symbol than weapon. Its original purpose, disrupting quantum technology, has evolved into something far more profound. The enforcement mechanism behind a new galactic order where technological suppression is prohibited. Alina's research team has expanded the original discovery, developing methods to detect and neutralize suppression fields throughout nearby sectors. As younger species gain unhindered access to quantum technologies, innovation has flourished at unprecedented rates. Medical breakthroughs, energy solutions, and transportation systems, once thought centuries away, have become reality in mere years. Not everyone has embraced the new paradigm. The ancient delegation, stripped of their primary method of control, have withdrawn to their core systems, maintaining diplomatic relations but clearly wary of humanity's influence. Occasional attempts to re-establish suppression fields are detected and neutralized, each incident further eroding their former authority. The Vraxian ambassador is requesting a moment of your time, an aide informs Alina. He says it's regarding the reparations program. Alina nods, still finding it surreal to engage diplomatically with the species that nearly destroyed her world. The Vraxian defeat, hundreds of their ships rendered powerless in a single moment, has transformed their civilization as well. Under new leadership, they'd begun the painful process of making amends to worlds they conquered. Dr. Costa, the Vraxian ambassador, greets her, its translator rendering the clicking sounds into smooth speech. My government has completed the restoration of the Novanary oceanic habitats. The first population transfer is scheduled for next month. Good. Alina replies simply. Their people have waited long enough to return home. The ambassador's compound eyes fix on her. There is something I have been authorized to ask you privately. A question my species has debated extensively. Go ahead. You possess the capability to permanently disable our technology, to leave our civilization vulnerable to retribution from countless enemies. Why did you implement only temporary effects? Why show restraint when we had shown none? Alina considers her answer carefully. Because the goal was never to destroy the Vraxians, only to stop your aggression. Prometheus was designed as a defensive technology, not a punishment. Some would call that weakness, the ambassador observes. Some lack imagination, Alina counters. Creating a weapon that destroys is simple. Creating one that changes without destroying, that requires vision. Later, as the accords are formally ratified, Alina watches from the background while younger representatives take the spotlight. Her role as architect is concluding. Implementation will belong to the next generation. The archivist of Xol finds her at the periphery of the celebration. In our oldest records, the ancient being tells her, there is a concept that roughly translates as inflection point, a moment when the established flow of history fundamentally changes direction. And this is such a moment. Alina asks. One of the most significant in a million years, the archivist confirms. You created a weapon that could have dominated the galaxy. Instead, you used it to create something unprecedented, a genuine coalition of equals. As delegates from worlds that were bitter enemies just years ago now collaborate on joint initiatives, Alina feels a sense of completion. Earth's first superweapon, created in desperation, has accomplished something no arsenal could have achieved. A foundation for lasting peace based not on dominance, but on the radical notion that progress belongs to everyone. The weapon served its purpose, Alina says softly. But it's what comes after the weapon that will define us.